We're continuing on our series looking at other parts of the Bible which speak about creation or teach us different aspects of creation. And here we come to a beautiful psalm, Psalm 121, which was, as you see in the title, a song of ascents. That means it was sung by the Jew as they would travel up towards Jerusalem. Psalm 121, verse 1, I will lift up mine eyes to the hills, from whence comes my help. My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. That's our connection with creation. And then the rest of the psalm, he will not allow your foot to be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord, and notice the emphasis on Yahweh, L-O capital letters, L-O-R-D. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. Again, the Lord shall preserve you from all evil. He shall preserve your soul. The Lord shall preserve your going out and your coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. I found this psalm very fascinating, a number of reasons. Apparently David Livingstone, the great missionary to Africa, before he went out to evangelize the remote parts of Africa, he meditated on this psalm and worshipped God. I think it was this psalm and Psalm 135 that was read, and he worshipped God and dedicated himself to commit to go to be a missionary in the 19th century. I found that quite fascinating that David Livingstone was able to worship God with his sovereign rule over all of creation. That's what caused him to worship God. Then it seems, as we said, this psalm was sung. Remember, the psalms are songs after all. It was sung as they would travel up to Jerusalem, and the idea in verse 1 is that they were traveling up, and I will lift up mine eyes to the hills. But here we see that the psalmist, this song is not just about the hills, looking beyond the hills. It's looking to where his help comes from, and he acknowledges verse 2, my help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. And so the person who wrote this psalm, and in this song we are being directed to not just the hills or the mountains, we're being directed to God. My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. What I found really comforting was is to look into that Hebrew word for help. This word help, it means someone who acts actively on behalf of other people to rescue them. And that's a great word, isn't it? Help. It's a word that we often use when we're really struggling or we're in trouble. But here we see that the look or the outlook of the perspective of the psalmist is to keep looking to God for help. It's actually the word that's used in Genesis chapter 2 for Eve. I will make a helper suitable for him. The Hebrew word is exactly the same word that's used here in Psalm 121. It's also the word that's used for one of Moses' children, Eliezer, which means God is my help. And I found just that the rest of the psalm sort of explains where the help comes from. Verse 3, we see he will not allow your foot to be moved, and he will not slumber. And you notice that this is repeated in verses 4. He who keeps Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Bearing in mind that the Israelites and the travelers may have camped out at night, you can see why these verses would be important. Also, they're important for us because it shows us that God's active care is upon us at every hour of the day. Remember when Elijah mocked the Baal, he said maybe he's sleeping. But in this case, we know that God doesn't sleep. But verse 5 says, the Lord is your keeper, the Lord is your shade at your right hand. And then, of course, we got his preservation in verses 6, 7, and 8. Verse 7, the Lord shall preserve you from all evil. He shall preserve your soul. And the idea is that not that there wouldn't be hardships and difficult things and disease. The idea is that if we do experience those things, God will preserve us through those things. And that's the idea in verse 7. And then the overarching sovereignty of God. The Lord shall preserve your going out and your coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. I think that's brilliant. Every day God preserves our going out and our coming in. And that's what we need to remember today, is that God will preserve our going out and our coming in. And it won't be just for today, it's forevermore. And so today we look to the God of creation, the God who created this world. But remember, my helps come from the Lord who made heaven and earth. Thank you for listening.